Welcome to this week's edition of Indigo Living's Leading Ladies series. It's an incredible series that I get to present, inspiring women across the region. And they're just not any women, they're women who are breaking ceilings, boundaries, and so much more. This week, I thought I would, add that celebrity factor. Remember all those celebrities from Steve Harvey, Alicia Keys, and so much more? In 1 year, we had the most amount of celebrities come through the Middle East. And there's one woman who is bringing it to the region. I like to call her the fairy godmother of entertainment. She's my friend, Sonal, and she's also the founder of I Am Management. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, I like to call you the fairy godmother
I know,
of entertainment because I feel like when you zoom in on these photos and you see the entourage, you are there.
Did we say fairy young mother?
Young mother, yes, of course. We can say anything because you have brought incredible entertainment to the region. I mean, the best concerts in the world that have happened. And especially in a year where entertainment really wasn't happening, we were so lucky to be in a region where we were entertaining the residents, tourists of globally that were here traveling. It really put Dubai on the map.
Absolutely. You know, it started long before actually Expo took off. That was the impetus, I think, for everything. But I remember we'd gone into lockdown in March, and in July, I was doing one of the biggest social media campaigns of my life with Kevin Hart. And it was incredible because it's this place. You know, we went back to work safely, very quickly to show the world that we're open, we're safe, we're welcoming. And from Kevin, it led to another viral campaign with Steve Harvey, who's now very much a friend to the family. And it's just snowballed, and I'm so happy to be here for that journey.
I was going to start off with Expo, but I thought I would just wait because you brought so much entertainment to Expo. I mean, the best concerts in the world. Alicia Keys her concert went viral in the center stage. And what I loved about Expo was that any seat you had in the house was a great seat.
The Al Wasl Dome was, it was a masterpiece in their architecture and what they wanted to show, sort of the pinnacle going out to the world. But again, that relationship for me stems from 1 year ago campaign with Expo when we brought Mariah Carey. And she kicked off the celebration. Same with Alicia. I'm fortunate to have brought her to the region at least 3 times. The last time was the motivational event with Tony Robbins, which you attended. So it's always about doing groundbreaking events or something very special that the region hasn't seen yet, like a takeaway moment,
And you mentioned Kevin Hart. I actually just started seeing his campaign go out for Yes Island. If you haven't seen it, it is actually so funny. I remember just reposting. I couldn't stop laughing. Like, to me, he's one of my favorite comedians. He's just great, but I thought he was just so much fun when he's going down the roller coaster.
That's him.
And he has this human touch.
Yeah, he does. He's a family man. The campaign we did with him was called Marshot with the UAE government and the Prime Minister's office. And he was so open and welcoming to the idea. It was actually, we conceptualized it with him of in the middle of the pandemic, he created this campaign to bring hope to people and fulfill their dreams. And I think he fell in love with this place, and you've gone to see him to do other things here, which has been really inspiring.
And let's talk about Steve Harvey. I am a huge fan, not only as a comedian, but as a motivational speaker. I mean, I follow his podcasts and videos. I mean, he is really on my feed. Not just Steve, but as a family. They're actually just an incredible family unit.
Are.
How is it to work with him?
He is the epitome of professionalism. I mean, Steve's taught me a lot. Steve's taught me a lot in terms of work ethic, the discipline, the openness he has with everyone. He's been doing this for a minute. And so he knows, very much who he is, but also what he brings to the table and his knowledge. He's so open and willing to share, what he's gone through, his struggles, and then how that's translated into who he is today. And Rosamond, I can tell you the one thing he has is faith. He prays on it. And so does Marjorie, his wife. They're very, very committed to faith. They're very thankful. The gratitude that they have it's unbelievable.
Throughout all his mediums. So whether it's shows, podcasts, and you see him in person, he constantly talks about gratitude and giving back.
Yeah.
The first time I actually met them, I was sitting next to them at a fashion show, and that's how I met them. And I just couldn't get over, when you said professionalism, it was the one thing that stood out, because when we did make plans, he was like, you know what, I'm recording my radio show. This is my block time. I'm happy to meet after. And I was like, you're across the world. Like, could be on holiday.
Yeah. And all the family. I remember when I first met his sons, and they were like, yes, ma'am, and opening doors for me and closing doors for me. I was like, what are you doing? Let me open the door for you. It's like, absolutely not. My mom and dad would kill me if they, if we didn't do this. So, yeah.
No, they're a great family. And if you haven't seen any of Steve Harvey's videos, they're definitely ones to see promoting Dubai, but really talking about, I mean, they've been to old Dubai,
it was actually the UAE. Hidden gems. Places I didn't even know.
That's what it was
Places I didn't even know. And he brought them to life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was actually a great campaign.
Yeah. Very charismatic.
You have a dream career. If people look through the world of Sonal, celebrities, traveling the globe, working on movie sets, campaigns, I mean, this is really a dream job. And I am going to say that she's been doing it for over 20 years. So you really deserve where you are today. But how did you get into entertainment?
It's actually a very funny story. And I think the best things in life are accidental and coincidental and all of that. I was a wedding planner. I actually started as a wedding planner, working for a very, very prestigious hotel in London. My family are in hospitality, and so I wanted to follow that route. And it just fell from that. And it was celebrity weddings. So I did World Champions, the drummer of Coldplay.
No way.
Yeah, this was in 2001. I did his wedding.
Amazing.
I then did Ferdinand Khan, the Bollywood actor's wedding. And it just snowballed. And it takes a particular personality to
deal with celebrities.
Yes.
Oh, for sure.
Just all the little nuances that go behind the scenes. And
I think
so
attention to detail and discretion, are two really strong points when it comes to celebrity management. And as glamorous as it is, I call her a very young mother.
Yes.
Right? Because you never talk about what you're doing or who she's bringing. Only after the fact, I'll see her on like the back and the front cover of a newspaper, and you brought the biggest stars to the region. So I think that is really important if you want to go into this field, is really knowing about discretion
and also hone in on your craft. So from being a planner and then starting to do bigger and bigger events, and they kind of were in music. So I did Elton John and Amy Winehouse's first showcase together for Viva Mac, for the Viva Glam Mac campaign.
Amazing.
So I knew from there it was something I wanted to pursue. The events, the marketing, working with talent, because it was so varied. If you fast forward, through that connection, I got to meet the manager, producer of the Black Eyed Peas. And so he took me under his wing. He became my mentor, Venus Brown. To this day, he is now my brother. He's been to, my wedding. He is at the forefront of everything I do, because you need to check in. Venus went on to become the president of Sony BMG.
Amazing.
And I went with him to New York. And that kind of snowballed, my career, working with a label, for a label, and then eventually branching out. But you have to hone in on those little experiences and the craft. You can't wing it, as it were, all the time.
Well, you're the founder of IM Management and Entertainment. What did you learn at being in a more structured environment like a Sony in New York?
What did I learn? That's a very good question. Delegate. Delegate is very important to, I think, stay completely grounded, because when you're in that world of entertainment, whether it's film, music, what you're around is not reality. It's not what you go home to bed, with. It's very, very different. So you have to know who you are. I think that's been a big takeaway for me. know what you stand for. And it's a 24-hour day. It's a 24-hour day, so you have to realize what your priorities are.
Well, I love the word priorities. And like any entrepreneur, there's no such thing as 9 to 5.
No,
right?
There isn't.
And so I think anyone kind of going into this field has to know that entertainment is not a business that really, it can take place anytime. It can take place in the morning, you can be on a flight, you can be on stage till whatever
doing
time.
Fittings at random hours of the morning, and especially in music, creatives work at night. So the best time for them to record is between 11 p.m. and 4 a.m. So if you're in that world, you better be ready.
Sonal, what is the process of having a celebrity and the management, and then in between is the client, right? It's a triangle. Is there one point that goes first? Is it the client looking for talent and what are their requirements? Or is it the talent saying they want to come to the Middle East because it's such an exciting region to be in? And a fan base and a new fan base?
All of the above. It's a great, great question. More so now because of how the UAE is perceived to the world. It's the talent wanting to come here. You know, working with Alicia, she was promoting her book, her motivational speaking. And so with the Tony Robbins project, it was just a great fit for her to delve into motivation when you've got someone like Tony, but still bring her flair to it. So that was very much a collaboration. But then more recently with Sadhguru, he contacted us. He contacted the office to say, look, you know, he's doing Save the Soil, which is a great initiative. I learned so much. I didn't know that 80% of the world's soil's now been depleted, and in 50 years we could all be facing famine because the soil has no nutrients left. So he said, look, I want to put a very bespoke event, because he was on a roadshow here for 4 days, of people you think that are going to carry my message forward, like influencers, thought leaders. And so we did a very intimate event, 35 people of business leaders, thought leaders, and key press. And it was an open forum, an open format, Q&A, him talking, everyone gets to interact, ask questions. And so, you know, it was great. And I think that's what we do is bespoke. So yes, more often than not, I'll have a lot of entities say, okay, can you bring X, Y, and Z for an endorsement deal or for a concert? But more so now, because of the interest in the region, they you know, they'll come to me and it'll be a collaboration.
And this is such an interesting market. I mean, if we just look at UAE alone, there's so many diverse nationalities. It's state-of-the-art facilities. So concert halls, Dubai Opera, for example, Expo. I mean, they get to perform in the best facilities and technology.
They do. And not only is Dubai a melting pot, 179 nationalities. So when we were going through the process of picking Mariah Carey for Expo, that's because out of 179 countries, let alone here, but globally, imagine how many there are, her music translates across the world, right? Everybody, I don't care who you are, male, female, young.
We all know the Christmas songs.
You know the Christmas songs, or you know Hero. So that was a pivotal part of the decision-making of why we, you know, why they chose her, why we worked with her. And yeah.
I love that. So this is the region that you want to be in for any celebrity.
This is the region.
Yeah, yes. It is super exciting, and you're making it happen.
Thank you.
How do you help them create a brand? Like when it comes to the personality, when it comes to fittings, and what is that process?
Creating a brand is based on longevity, right? It's based on bringing the best of their personality out, I think. I don't think it needs to be a very organic process. So, for example, if they're coming to Dubai, I would want to educate them into the culture of Dubai, the culture of the UAE, what this place stands for, and then add that to their personality, you know, so they're layering their experiences. Does that make sense?
Of course.
Yeah.
Because I think when they travel to the region, you have to have that element of respect, but also bringing that celebrity factor and glam.
Exactly.
But how do you integrate both?
Yeah. I mean, look, whoever I've worked with are so cognizant of the rules, and I have to say they're open. With anyway, you don't want to be dressed in a certain obscene way or anything like that. So I think now, the West is starting to respect the East and what we've really brought to the world stage. So I think from what I'm seeing and the experiences, everyone's embracing what's happening here. Yeah.
And I want to ask you, as an entrepreneur, what was that moment when you decided to leave that kind of corporate, which is the element of security? Because people always talk about starting your own business, but you really have to identify, and I always say this is, do an honest SWOT analysis on yourself, right? Are you, do you have what it takes to go out on your own? What was that moment? Because you're super successful now. You've earned your stripes. You've been through, you've traveled, you've brought the biggest celebrities across the globe, and now really focusing on the Middle East. When was that moment you decided to leave that corporate life and go into entrepreneurship?
I think it was ambition. I think that sums everything up for me. You have to constantly learn and grow, and when you're reaching a certain not a glass ceiling, it could be a glass ceiling, or your growth has stopped and there's much more. For me, entertainment was wide open here. Not everyone was doing it, but there was a need for it. I had international experience. It took a lot of guts, because I was comfortable in what I was doing, but I had a great support system behind me. The team I was working with in New York, in London, even here, I knew that if I did branch out, I could rely on that network. And when I had built up enough of a network, that's when I knew that, coupled with ambition, I could take it to the next level.
I love that. Yeah. And what are your tips for anyone who wants to go out into the entertainment field? Because it is a pretty daunting career choice, right? It's not like the standard doctor, lawyer, engineer, which, and I say this because I'm Indian, right? Like, I feel like Asian parents who grow up in these
doctor, lawyer, dentist.
And I feel like you and I have kind of gone out on this, opposite side. But what are your tips for anyone who wants to follow in the entertainment space?
I think now it's changed. Look, I started like 20 odd years ago, when you did have to follow a certain path, and there was a corporate structure to it, as fun as it was. Now, with OTT and these streaming platforms opening, and influencers and social media stars, I think it's really, you've got to be in it for the long game. That's the first thing. There's no quick fire to it, but literally just go for it. But it depends what space. There's so many people wanting content now. So whether you're a streaming platform like a Netflix and you have a great idea, research. How do I get from A to B to C? Right? So if I have an idea, who do I pitch it to? From who do I pitch it to? Who do I then, what's the next step? There's work experience for everyone. There's so many great production houses here. There's a big world famous brand now out here doing a TV franchise.
Yes.
And that started from somewhere. So go into those production houses, those studios, to learn the craft.
I love that. I always say work experience is so important, because whether you look at an industry like fashion or movies or entertainment, there's a little bit of something for everyone. And people always think it's always it's on the front line.
Yeah.
And that's why I really wanted to introduce you on the show, because you really are behind the scenes making it all happen. You are the conductor, right? Yeah. Like in your orchestra of a team of stylists and assistants and the actual celebrity. I mean, there's a huge team to make that one person, happen on stage. And you can be in
you could be a makeup artist.
Yes.
You could be a makeup artist with Beyonce's makeup.
Yeah.
And it could snowball.
Yeah.
So John was telling me about the story. He's
and that is, she says John, like, so casually, by the way. This is Sir John, who is literally Beyonce's makeup artist, who she has on speed dial, and he is the creative director of Citizen
which is a homegrown brand here. Yeah. So do you see what I mean now about
like
your
our
network?
conversations that we're having. She's like dropping Beyonce, John.
Isn't that bad?
John,
please stop it. Stop.
She's like, Steve and I, Then I always have to be like, okay, please just pause.
But what I'm saying is, it's that network, right?
Yeah.
From LA, I'm able to connect someone and now build a brand, a homegrown brand from here. How exciting is that?
It's so exciting.
Yeah.
And that was actually one of the biggest announcements most recently, I think just a month ago, was Sir John, a very talented makeup artist, celebrity makeup artist, has joined creative director of Citizen.
Yes.
The homegrown brand here, which is now in like 1,000 retail outlets in the US. So it's actually a brand to know.
Won Allure makeup brand, new makeup brand of the year.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
No, and and that's like a success story when you see these these kind of agreements happen and see a brand from here, the Middle East, blossom.
Yeah.
What's exciting for IM management and entertainment coming up?
What's exciting? There's a lot actually. I mean, look, you started with how do you get into this and what's your experience? I'm still learning, Rosamund. I'm still learning. We produced our first movie,
amazing
Hollywood movie in 2020 in the middle of COVID. So, you know, live entertainment had stopped. And so we found ourselves pivoting because that's what you do, right? You grow, you change, you turn. Fast forward a year and a half and we've got 2 movies that have been greenlit in pre-production. One is Hollywood and one is Bollywood.
Oh,
we'll always go back to our roots, right? So that's interesting. We're very much focused on TV and film. We've got, we've just been greenlit another episode, another series, TV series for E! Entertainment. We've got quite a few concepts in development for TV across the world, so it's not just Middle East focused, and that's exciting, you know.
And it's such an exciting space because you're right, with streaming service, entertainment is accessible to everyone on the click of their phone or TV.
Yeah, I mean, if you saw the expo performances, they were all live streamed because you have to now be more inclusive,
right?
Yeah, and on that note, actually, just because it's you and I love you, a bit of an exclusive, if I can say, is we've just launched a multi-million-dollar fund for IM Entertainment, where we'll be bringing a lot more live entertainment that we'll be actually producing.
Oh, so there you go. Breaking news for you. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Of course.
I just want to highlight some key points. So if you're watching this episode, as any entrepreneur, some of the key words I just pulling them out is you have to be able to pivot. It is one of the most important skill sets because things are always going to change, whether it's your environment, whether it could be financial, environment, country, politics. You have to be able to look at your business and be able to adapt and change. And if you're not able to do that, always have maybe a partner, an advisor to come in to really help you. So I love that word that you guys have really looked at your business and had to pivot, especially during what we've gone through the past 2 years. The other thing that you mentioned, which I thought was great, of course, is hard work and really putting the time in, work experience and constantly learning. That was one of the first things that really stood out, is that you can never stop learning, whether you are working in a company or you have your own business.
Do you know who taught me that? Karl Lagerfeld.
No.
Karl Lagerfeld taught me at the age of 74, you have to constantly learn. He went through his career, then imagine all the technology that came out, the iPod, the this, that, and he was at the forefront of it all. He never said no. He just kept learning. And that's why he was who he was.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I love that. So 3 points you're going to remember from this episode: be able to pivot and adapt, hard work experience, it pays off, and of course, keep continuing to learn. Thank you so much for being on the episode and sharing your wisdom and your career journey.
Thank you.
So we are lucky enough to have the show because of Indigo Living, and their motto is living beautifully. It's their motto. What does that mean to you?
Living beautifully translates to me, I think, living authentically. It's easy to say, but very difficult to practice.
Do you think that's with age?
Yes.
Yeah. No, yes. I think.
Yeah, I take a minute now. I will not even talk to my husband until I've prayed, I've meditated in the morning.
Coffee.
Coffee I don't drink, but the rest. And then I start my day.
To live.
I'll invest in flowers in the home because that to me is beautiful.
You happy?
Yeah, it makes me happy. It makes me happy. Being with my friends makes me happy. Yeah, just cooking. Cooking makes me happy. So yeah, that's living beautifully, is just being authentic to yourself.
I love that. No, and I think that is actually where we all need to be.
Yeah.
And also take time to even write that down. Like, look at yourself and be like, what are the little things in life that make me happy? And if you can surround yourself with that, whether it is cooking, flowers, family and friends.
And when you write it down, you realize it's not so bad.
Yeah.
You know, I have something that unfortunately someone else doesn't have.
Yeah. And goes back to Steve Harvey.
Yes.
Just being gratitude. Exactly. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Of course. Thank you. We love you.
And thank you for joining us each week on Indigo Living's On the Couch series with leading women. It is my pleasure to interview inspiring women breaking boundaries each week. Thank you for joining us. And for more episodes and information on the show, follow us on Instagram and of course YouTube for the full episode. See you next week.